You're listening to RX Inspiration, the show where we highlight pharmacists across the country making a difference in their communities. I'm your host, Mason Manuel, and I'm coming to you from the home of pharmacy at the American Pharmacists Association in Washington, D.C. I'm joined today by APHA President Randy McDonough, who will be leading today's conversation. Our special guest for today's episode is Nadia Ahmad. She is a community Walgreens pharmacist and positional district engagement lead. She's an advocate for mental health and community pharmacy as well as well-being. So I'm excited to hear what she has to say, and I know you are too. We're going to go ahead and pick her brain, so be sure to leave us a comment on what you hear today. Maybe shoot us a like and subscribe to show some love, and let's get started. Randy, take us away.
Thanks, Mason. I appreciate it. Nadia, I sure appreciate you coming on to be our guest today. And it sounds like you have a role that's very important with Walgreens. But I wonder if you could tell our listeners what your day-to-day position is and your practice at Walgreens as a community pharmacist.
Thank you so much, Dr. McDonough. First of all, I'm very grateful to be here talking about my role and my journey with the company. And so when I open my pharmacy every day here in Bell County, Eastern Kentucky, I want to paint a picture that I might be the only most accessible healthcare professional within that community. I have the honor of being a frontline community pharmacist with Walgreens in an underserved community like ours from the past 13 years. So my day-to-day functions are based on a routine, which are like it starts with making sure that workflow is in place where all team members are assigned where they can be, so it can lead to smooth operations within the pharmacy. Our goal is to have the administrative task ahead of the start of the day so we can take care of these patients. And within Walgreens, we have advancement within a technology like texting, app, alerts, patient can be proactive. That has helped a lot, decreasing the workload where patient can use these tools so they can take charge of their healthcare needs, including medications. They can request refills, they can request delivery. And I am very grateful is our centralized fill locations where they fill 90-day adherence prescriptions overnight and they are delivered next day. That has decreased my workload as pharmacist almost half, taking away the dispensing task. So I can focus along with my team taking care of what matters most is our patients, which includes counseling, OTC consultation, comprehensive medication therapy management. And most importantly, right now, we are entering into our most busy season of upper respiratory illness, which includes consultation about immunizations. There is some hesitancy, misconceptions, misinformation, which I enjoy most about counseling about immunizations. So these are just routine tasks, but what I thrive on, Dr. McDonough, is really those interactions with patients, which I get the opportunity every day to make an impact. Like I want to give you an example. There was this elderly couple, they were about to leave for vacation and they called me last minute, doctor office was closed and husband said that my wife is really sick, she's having these GI issues, what do I do? And we are about to leave. And I said, you can stop by, I can counsel you what she needs based on her symptoms so they can leave with a peace of mind and an action in place in case if she gets really sick. And what they say after that consultation, which was a simple OTC consultation all pharmacists do, is that you are a crucial lifeline for us in this community. And I am so thankful for you. And there was patients, sometimes they stopped by, there was this lady, she was almost distraught and so worried with pre-op instructions for her knee replacement. She said the office gave her just these printed instructions and she wasn't counseled. So I walked her through all which medication to stop which day with these dates and everything in simple, easy language. She was so thankful. I was there to answer her questions and address her concerns. And she was just was extremely thankful that I'm there, not only helping her, but listening her. And the last important point I want to mention is that being in a community pharmacy has seen so many challenges over the period of years, and things don't go, every day is a different day. Sometimes systems break down, equipment don't work, or there's a technology breakdown, or there are call offs, and we are facing challenging with budget issues and operating hours. But as pharmacists, I want to emphasize it, we have to always be adaptive and address according to the need of the day. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that every day I feel energized, and there are days I feel down too. I want to mention as a frontline community pharmacist that it is challenging for us. And there was one day I want to mention and conclude my answer that there were 3 call-offs in my pharmacy, and we were about to close, and I was feeling down and defeated. I was like, I'm not getting anywhere. There's this workload and left to be for next day. And then my drive-through buzzer ring for lane 2. Me and my technician both were in stress. That was a rough day. And when I answered, there was this mom. She asked me if my daughter's prescription is ready. And I can hear stress in her voice. And I checked it, it wasn't ready. And in the meantime, I heard her daughter, baby cry in the back seat of her van. And I thought that was a divine whisper. I have to hear a baby cry for me as a sign that that's why I'm here. I'm the only pharmacy open in this late hour in this community. I can get this antibiotic ready. I told mom, you just stay right here. I got this. I get the prescription ready. And that was a reminder for me that why we need pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, and that's on those days we just have to prioritize and safely dispense those prescriptions and see who needed our care most. So these are the interactions which matters most to me as a community pharmacist.
I appreciate those examples that you've given, Nadia. I mean, those are very meaningful. And, as I think about what I hear about community pharmacy, and I love the term you use, I'm a frontline community pharmacist. And me being the CEO and co-owner of several practices, community-based practices, I get what you mean by that. But as we're getting challenged out there as far as people understanding what it means to be a frontline pharmacist, but in a positive way, not the negative things that we've heard in social media and all the issues. Tell me what that positiveness is that you just talked about, where it reminds you when you hurt a baby, what the meaning is behind being a frontline pharmacist. But what does that exactly mean to you, being a frontline pharmacist, and how do you explain that to young pharmacists or to students who are contemplating what they want to do, about the meaning it gives to you having these positive interactions with patients?
That is such a good question. And since you mentioned, I am a preceptor and I mentor a lot of students too. And when I started sharing stories, I used to get this same message a lot, or comment that how do you stay so positive, or why are you not burned out, and what keeps you going, because it's tough out there. So being frontline community pharmacist, I believe it's the mindset and it's the belief. And when you see the impact, you go out every single day. And I share this story, a quick story with some of the students I was invited to speak at a College of Pharmacy here in Kentucky, that there was this one task. One person was layering bricks, and they asked, what you're doing? He said, he's building a wall. Second person was asked, what you're doing? He said, I'm building a church. And the third person was doing the same task, and he said, I'm building house of God. It was the same task, but completely 3 different mindset. For first one, it was just a job. Second one was it was a career. For third one, it was a calling. I knew from day one that it is my calling. I believe in my work strongly, deeply within, that I go out and I make a difference. My work matters, and me and my team together make this community and even this world a better place. And I take that it is an honor and privilege. And I have to admit here with you, Doctor, as president of American Pharmacist Association, that even within our profession, somehow, somewhere, I don't know how and why, community pharmacies look down upon. Or sometimes it made students have told me that they have been told within the colleges of pharmacy that, oh, you're falling yourself short of, or you're not doing justice with your education. I don't know how this mindset, which is kind of elitist and hierarchy, that every pharmacist who graduate is a clinical pharmacist. I understand the certifications and additional residency, but we should not make, when teachers are, and if you look at other professions, which I've noticed following other professions, teachers call themselves teachers. Nurses are just nurses. But in our profession, I don't know why there's clinical pharmacists, non-clinical, residency trained, non-resi. We differentiate, and we need to be stronger together, have a louder voice to fight for the profession. We are not doing any justice. So, as a frontline community pharmacist, I take that, like I'm going to repeat that, it's an honor and privilege. I see value and impact. And I'm a storyteller by nature. I don't know, that's how I am. And I would share another story about this is related to just for an impact example. It was 5 or 6 p.m. at one day, and this grandmother came with a 7-year-old granddaughter of hers. And now I live in a rural area, so I have a lot of underserved community example. Lexington is a bigger city in Kentucky, close by. It's a 2.5 hours drive. She have a surgery scheduled for cochlear implant. She has to have the pneumonia vaccine that evening, or surgery would have been delayed for further months apart. So none of the health department or the pharmacy has the vaccine. So we had it. So I have to follow some company's protocol and state protocol. I called, office was about to close. I called the office, got the prescription, and I made sure with my team's help that child was scared. I was like, but I was determined that this child would get vaccinated so that she can have the surgery she so much needed to have the implant, the surgery done. So this is just a small examples. I have so many. This is being frontline. You see impact on the same day. This is beyond your work, beyond your regular routine, mundane task. Every day is unique and so powerful and so impactful.
That's wonderful, and I appreciate that answer. And I frequently speak to students, and I make sure that it's very clear to them, clinical is not where you practice, clinical is what you do. So you should be applying your clinical knowledge, your clinical skills to whatever practice setting that you're in. So you shouldn't differentiate between practice settings. And the other thing I would say from a community pharmacist perspective, and I've had opportunities to leave community pharmacy and practice in AmCare, practice within the health system, practice in a lot of different areas, but I always chose to go back to community because community to me is the most accessible healthcare place where patients can access a knowledgeable healthcare provider, and the impact that we can have on those individuals is tremendous. And there's nothing more professional fulfilling to me than to have that interaction and that impact on patient outcomes. So I think you exemplify what I'm trying to demonstrate to my students. So thank you for that answer.
You're welcome.
So my next question, you have some unique titles with Walgreens. One of them is District Engagement Lead Pharmacist. But you also have mentioned that you're involved with the Women's of Walgreens initiative. So can you tell me about those two different components of your practice?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier that I love sharing stories. I started celebrating my team, celebrating wins, what we do, and somehow it got noticed, and my leadership reached out for being part of the district engagement lead team. What we do is leadership at every store nominate an employee or team member who has gone above and beyond in their position and help patients and customers. And then one gets selected every month and for district employee of the month. So what I do is I reach out and do a small interview and I ask about their journey, what they're passionate about, but most importantly, the why behind. They are so exceptional. What keeps them the deep within that passion? So, and then I create a very fun spotlight. I write down their story and create that spotlight. But I'm so thankful for this is what I love doing, celebrating my team members. But for me, what I have experienced that when a team or team member, when they are celebrated, they are recognized, and we build that connection, they will deliver more, they will go above and beyond, and they will be, when they are appreciated and seen and valued, it's the most important thing a leader can do. And that's what being part of district engagement lead mean. And I absolutely love being part of that team and been doing that for quite a few years. And Women of Walgreens is an initiative where women within the company are all welcome to join this community where they're giving tool, resources, and opportunities for mentorship. And also they do monthly webinars and their special interest group for leadership, how to build their brand or workplace and work-life balance, and also talk openly about the challenges we sometimes women face, like childcare or wearing different hats, how to manage, how to support each other as being a woman team member. And I was invited many times. They do their special sessions on Women Pharmacist Day, International Women's Day. I was invited to speak about diversity and inclusion in workplace. And for me, working in this rural community where there's no diversity, for me to go out there as a woman of color, immigrant, hijab wearing pharmacist on front lines again was not easy, because I was the only one within my team. There was no one like me or my patients. So it wasn't easy and I have to make extra effort. So I always used to initiate conversations. I always used to volunteer to give vaccines so they can see me beyond my differences. This is this pharmacist here to serve with kindness, and this is a kind care pharmacist. And the lesson learned was care, compassion, and kindness is a universal language. It will break all your physical barriers, and patient can see always your heart. And I was able to do it. And that was a journey I shared with Women of Walgreens, gave me the opportunity to share my story company-wide. And but I am so thankful for these things company does, because it is beyond your regular work day where you feel more energized and passionate about your job.
I think that's a fantastic answer, and I appreciate how much you're celebrating your team. But also recognizing, that the differences that we have can actually be our strengths as well too. Yes. But there's this universal language that we have, and I love that you said it's really being kind and compassionate to those patients, and that is universal. And I can see why you've got the team that you have and the practice that you have. It's interesting because as I look at your Facebook and your LinkedIn, you have a very strong social media presence, yes. And I know you mentioned in your Facebook that you're a content creator. So tell me, how do you use your social media presence to promote pharmacy?
So I want to go back to year 2020, Dr. McDonough. I was at the verge of myself at the burnout because there was so much uncertainty. Vaccine was about to roll out. I didn't know what to do. Although I love what I did, but it was uncertain times. And my company asked to volunteer for COVID clinics in nursing home and residential facilities. Thank God I said yes, and that gave me my why. What has led to in that year, I always had LinkedIn account but never used it. But in that year, I started sharing stories as daily work stories or celebrating wins, and then maybe some challenging days. And even my life as a mom Sometimes I have even shared stories of me being missing out my son's football game or my daughter's softball game, but I'm here working because not everyone work from home. There are pharmacies, and being a healthcare professional, you're needed late nights, evenings, and weekends, and on holidays. So I started sharing those stories, my life as a mom, as a community pharmacist, and somehow it resonated with people because I have no training in social media and I don't know anything about brands. It was just me, authentic self. I put myself out there and highlighting the contributions pharmacists make too. It has got so much attention, and somehow I end up with a place of influence, won an even most influential award with a podcast network in 2023, which was surprising to me too. Then I realized that I have a platform now. I have to use within with responsibility and with some intentional. I can use it to highlight challenges and make public aware of our role, because as pharmacists sometimes I feel we don't tell our contributions or the outcomes we make every day. We make so much a crucial role we play every day. And then I started advocating for the profession, writing about the reimbursement issues, how the pharmacies are facing those challenges, and started my state organization very much involved with KPHA, and then how we should be paid for our services. And then I'm very passionate about vaccines, so I started using my Facebook, especially writing and making public aware about this vaccine is safe and this is recommended. There was measles outbreak recently in Kentucky, and there was flooding a few months back. Then this vaccine is recommended. It is safe, effective. So I started using for not just about celebrating and my building my brand, but for really using it to create awareness, to highlight challenges, and for advocate for the profession. And it has received well, and I get people appreciate it, and I still use it every day.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I love how you've used it to, one, just talk about some of the issues that we go through as pharmacists in the community setting. You're right, the challenges that we have about working nights and weekends and holidays sometimes. And that's, not everybody has to do that. But why do we keep coming back to it? It's because of what we are able to have and the impact that we can have on our patients, right? I'll put up with some of that stuff because what it's given to me as a professional satisfaction is just unbelievable.
Yes.
And it sounds like you have really promoted that. And I loved how you use social media as a tool to get information out there, especially in the times of crisis, such as the COVID vaccine or the COVID pandemic. And we did the same thing, and I was surprised at the number of people. I'm not near what you are with social media presence, but when you start providing a tool that is really good and it's objective and it's providing good evidence to people, people do come. And so I congratulate you on building that brand that you have, Nadia. That's very impressive. I also noticed that as I was looking through your social media that you have additional education and training in immunizations, diabetes, and also you're an naloxone trainer. So how do you incorporate this training into your practice?
So yes, I actually got my diabetes certification through APHA a few years back with a meeting at Nashville. And immunization is a really main focus on our work as frontline community members, and naloxone training too. But what I want to highlight is my favorite part of my job is teaching my patients, guiding and counseling them about vaccines. And right now there's so much misinformation, and we are giving COVID-19 2025-26 updated version. We have it in stock. So I address those challenges and address the challenges we face when there is misinformation out there. So I train them and I have the most meaningful conversations with my patients in the immunization room because I counsel them and address any of the questions they have. And now our technicians are getting certified too. That is so helpful because that relieves my time to focus on other tasks. So that training for me, both me and my technicians, what company provided is crucial to the role we play. And with help of those administrative tasks taken away, it helps really for me to focus more on providing education and administering vaccines. And about naloxone, yes, I want to use this platform to mention that Walgreens is the only pharmacy, maybe there is one or two more in this entire county, who keeps medications like Suboxone for substance use disorder in stock. Most of them, and I understand reimbursement issue or some other issues involved, don't even keep in stock. And I have the honor of being part of, with University of Kentucky, we did a CE session about real life scenario red flags, how to resolve those issues, because there's still so much stigma. And after doing that session, my compassion was at another level when I heard real patient life stories and shared my experience about how to be there, as we have a unique position to help combat and tackle this substance use disorder and help those patients keep the medication in stock. And I heard stories where patients use another town because they don't want anyone to know the town they live in that they are on this medication, or even use their insurance not to have any track record. And sometimes they are in a hurry because they think that they will go into withdrawal. So this is what we offer, naloxone, and we dispense and keep the medication in stock to offer that compassionate care. And about diabetes certification, community pharmacists on frontline have been managing chronic disease from day one, I believe. And patients come with these diagnoses overwhelmed, and they don't know what they have to do. These lifestyle modification testing, especially with diabetes, how to test or monitor with consultation, and how to use CGMs. So we do that and we guide them through the process. But I cannot wait for that day when we are paid for these services, the services we provide. And I advocate with KPHA on payment parity bill because we were in a legislative session this last month about that pharmacists should be paid, because we have so much reimbursement issues that for especially these clinical services, testing and treat and chronic disease management, I believe we get that status where should be paid for our services.
Totally agree. I think that is well said. We need to be advocates for our profession. It sounds like you're doing that by being involved legislatively within your state, and as being a pharmacist and working with the Pharmacists Association, and that's going to be important. And so it sounds like you've taken your training and you really have implemented for the betterment not only of patient care, but for advocacy for your profession and why we need to be paid as providers, and the value that we are bringing to our patients by providing these value-added services, these very needed and important services, such as naloxone availability, such as CGM for diabetes and monitoring, and immunizations, especially now with immunizations and with all the misinformation that's out there. I really do believe the community pharmacist is going to be key this fall during the flu vaccine season. So I appreciate all your efforts with that, Nadia, so thank you. Mm-hmm. I also want to congratulate you because I know you were named the 2024 Community Women Pharmacist of the Year. Obviously, with all the things you have talked about, your dedication to your patients is very inspirational. So what motivates you to do what you do every day for your patients in your community?
Yes, that was such a great honor by Pharmacist Mom Group, which is again a community of 40,000 pharmacists where we come together and share challenges and seek advice and support each other. I'm going to go back to what I have previously mentioned, that I truly believe it's the mindset, and that the impact, and we go out and create that impact for our patients, for our community, and for my team too. Because I believe that our work matters. I believe I'm adding value to my patient's life using my knowledge and skills and my training to be there for them every single day, in every single interaction, in every single counseling. It is such an, and I truly, genuinely believe it is an honor and my privilege as a community pharmacist to go out there to serve them, provide their care with compassion. And it is just that belief deep within that keeps me going, for my patients, for my team. And when I mention my team, is that they are being part of, we create that environment where we help each other, support each other. And as pharmacists, I believe that we are in a position of leadership because they are looking at me on, especially on a day which is challenging, or on a rough day, on a tough, where we have call offs or where equipment breakdown. So I have to lead them with empathy. I have to empower them to make decisions what matters more in that particular day, and at the end of the day take complete ownership. How did that day went? If there's something not go the way we wanted, I have to take ownership. Then to take blame or take complaint, and it create that positive, uplifting environment where we collaborate and serve those patients. The ultimate goal is to serve those patients, and continue to celebrate each other. Pharmacy stuff is stressful, it's challenging, so we don't have to be always. I believe that work should be a fun experience too. We should celebrate. I take selfies with my team on their birthdays, and then create a post or bring flowers, like Dr. McDonough on one woman pharmacist day. I just brought, no one asked me, I just brought flowers and some small gift and show up to my district, every woman pharmacist working that day, and just, I was like, this is for you, I celebrate you, I appreciate you. And the smile and the gratitude I saw in their eyes, that was all it about. This is what work should feel like. This is what we should recognize and acknowledge each other. And I just love what I do, and I think when you find joy in your work, even in, and it becomes easier, it doesn't become hard. And I go every day with that mindset, and gratitude is what is really part of my life, like daily practice, even on days when I'm very happy and in days when I'm stressful. That Nadia, you have, I really like physically remind myself, I say to myself that you have earned that patient's sacred trust. It is worth it. You can, this is a difficult patient. He's going to come every month. They're not mad at you. They are mad at, either they are sick, they are in pain, something else going on, financial issues. Just we have to serve them with care and compassion. And that's what keeps me going every single day.
Well, Nadia, I think that's a perfect thing to end with this podcast. I surely appreciate you taking the time. I have to say that after listening to you and listening to your practice, not only are your team and your practice fortunate to have you, your patients and your community are very fortunate to have such a compassionate, caring healthcare provider. And being a community pharmacist, the accessibility that you're able to provide to your patients is very inspirational. So thank you for all your efforts and all your work, and thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Dr. McDonough, for inviting me. It is truly my honor